I've been getting a lot of questions recently about what equipment to buy for various purposes, but it's all comes down to camera and audio questions. A lot of questions from my friends. I'm seeing them online, and obviously everyone always asks what camera should I buy and stuff like that. But I feel like it's more important than ever right now to reiterate something I've said a lot before, and that is to not spend any money. Don't spend any money on something that you're not even sure if you're going to like it, if it's going to be profitable, if that's the point. Work with what you have and then figure out what you need, right? Or get the cheapest tool possible and then upgrade when it breaks or when you realize something's wrong with it. That's something, in the past few weeks, a lot of questions about stills cameras, a lot of questions about video cameras. And it's like, well, what do you need? I don't know what you need, right? I can tell you the most expensive one. I can tell you the cheapest one, but any video camera, almost any stills camera too, from pretty much 2015 onward is great. It just depends on what you need. And so I'm going to give some advice here. If you're starting a podcast, there are plenty of audio editing tools now that can clean up your audio, even bad audio, from a cell phone or something, right? Get the cheapest thing you can afford, or just use your phone, right? And all these tools I'm talking about are free or very inexpensive. Use what you have. If you're doing video, I always tell people to just get a C100 Mark II. If you've been on this channel for a long time, I used that camera for 5 years, 10 years. Well, I still use it. Been using it for a decade. It's phenomenal. It's got everything you need, nothing you don't. Doesn't use any power. The file sizes are super tiny, right? If you're thinking about buying a camera, your first thought should not be, I want to make videos. That's too vague. I need you to have a script. Okay. If you want to get into filmmaking, you don't buy a camera and then figure out what you're making, right? When I was in film school, you needed a script first. You would present the script and then they would give you the camera once they were like, all right, you've done enough pre-production. You know what's going to make your film look really good is pre-production. Making choices, planning. The more pre-production you do, the better. Obviously, lighting and production design are way up there, but pre-production is so important. You can't fancy your way into a good product, right? You buy a Arri Alexa. If I gave you an IMAX camera right now, would you go out and film, a vintage car, the beach, right? Okay, good for you. You wasted a bunch of money. If you can come to me and ask very specific questions, then I can help you narrow down what you should be getting. But especially in narrative, the camera is almost irrelevant at this point. Just whatever you can afford. The tools are there to either clean it up, which you shouldn't have to do if you've done good pre-production, or, polish it up, basically. Now, if you want to be a videographer, non-narrative, few other considerations, right? Weight, size, if you're doing photo, again, space, like hard drive space matters, all kinds of things, but I would worry about having a job to do before buying the camera. You're not going to get your FX3 and then turn around and go, I have an FX3, someone hire me. Because then you're going to get hired, do a terrible job, not have something for your reel, and you're not going to get a referral from that company. Right? You want to make friends with a band or something and ask them if you can film something. Use the Blackmagic app on your iPhone, try to get something cool, maybe like a little attachment, the moment lenses, maybe get something cool like that. But again, when you have restrictions like your iPhone to shoot video, you start getting creative. That's where that pre-production comes in, right? And then you're like, all right, these are I was watching the Corridor Crew guys, and they were talking about how, the Toy Story people couldn't do good, realistic CG. So they're like, well, everything looks like plastic. Let's make the characters plastic. That's the kind of thinking you need to be doing at the earlier stages. Doing podcasts. Again, I'm pretty sure I've just mentioned that, like, there are tools that can clean up your audio and make it look better. Placement of the microphone is one thing, just getting it close. But does anyone want to listen to what you're doing? Like, do that first. Test it first. Even if it sounds amazing, if it's boring, why would you spend hundreds of dollars to learn that no one likes what you're saying? Frame and Reference doesn't have millions of subscribers, right? And it's interesting. Not me. I'm not that interesting, but the guests are, But let's say you are interesting and you're trying to upgrade your setup. You don't need that SM7B microphone that we see everyone have, that big black one. It's not even made for podcasting anyway. Do a modicum of research and there's ones that I know sound incredible for $70, $100, $150 that I'd rather get before I got an SM7B. Room treatment, position, proximity to you, obviously your your EQ, compression, noise reduction. That's really all you need. A little channel strip basically will get you all the way there. Are far more important than getting that microphone that you've seen. Photo cameras, right? If you want to be a photographer, I truly almost exclusively shoot photos for myself on my phone and then edit them up in Lightroom. And they're not perfect, but for Instagram, they're great. But I also, I'm not going to lie, I have an X100. I bring that out. I love shooting with it. Looks, I won't even say better, but different than the iPhone. Because on the iPhone, I shoot with the Adobe Indigo app, which, especially when it's saving RAW, is light years better than the stock app, and it's free, right? I will say, this is my favorite stills camera, GFX 50R, right? 50 megapixels, massive sensor, Fujifilm goodness. But I pretty much bring this out when I'm getting hired to shoot photos. And it's not fast. The type of photos I shoot are not like sports, right? This is inappropriate for sports, but for editorial or, a model, if I'm shooting a person, it's great. I don't need to ratchet off. I think it can do like 5 frames a second or something, but I don't even need that. I'm doing one and then looking at it. It's on a tripod, probably, maybe. My friend, I won't name names, but my friend recently was like, he hit me with like 3 or 4 different camera options. He wanted to shoot video and stills. And he had like these 3 different camera options. They're all different in their own way. And I was just like, you know what? Borrow my Fujifilm X-T3. See if you like this. Start with this. See what you like. See what you don't like. And then from there, I can give you a better idea of what we should be doing. Right? Because his concern, which is valid, is he doesn't want to waste money. Well, the easiest way to waste money is to buy something sight unseen and then figure out what you don't like. So if you want to get into photography, borrow someone's camera. Hopefully, someone like me who has a spare camera, but use it for a while. Take notes of what bothers you, what doesn't bother you, and be objective. Like having a new tool, having a new toy in front of you. There's a honeymoon period where everything's going to be great. Eventually, you'll start to learn what you do and do not like. And then when you go to buy something, you can look up, I really need this. I really don't need that. One thing that's incredible for the X100 is it's got a built-in 4-stop ND. Now for photography, it's not always necessary because the shutter can kind of handle that for you. But if I ever shoot video on the X100, which I have done in a pinch, and it looks great, that 4-stop ND is huge, right, for video. But no other cameras have that. No other stills cameras have an ND filter built in. But that's something that I knew I had in my back pocket, right? This is slow, like I said. So if I lent you this and then you went to and you want to shoot sports, and you're like, click, chink, click, chink, and you're like, oh, I hate that. Now we know, right? So, just I'm only saying all this because a lot of people have, like I said, been asking me recently, and I mean recently, like 3 or 4 people in the past 3 weeks, 2 weeks. And obviously all the stuff you see online. My advice to you is to have a plan, figure out what that plan necessitates on a gear level, and then get the cheapest thing that's within the past 10 years new. And hopefully you've at least tried something. I used to, obviously the everyone always says to rent, but if you live in Los Angeles, New York, Atlanta, New Orleans, Vancouver, whatever, more likely to have a rental house around you, right? If you live in Tennessee, I'm just picking a city. I don't know, even in Denver, there's rental houses. Like, go that you can go there. You don't have to spend money to rent. You can go there and just play with it a little bit. They'll let you do that because they want you to rent from them. Have a plan, figure out what you need, then move forward and run tests ahead of time, pre-production. And especially if you want to get into filmmaking in a traditional sense, in a narrative sense, even in a documentary sense, like, have a script before you even think about getting cameras. You need to have a script first. Otherwise, you're just spending money for some dopamine hit. Oh, my dog looks really cool. And now I'm in Resolve. Like, people will be like, hey, does anyone have any footage to test, professionally shot footage to test editing? And I'm like, you don't need to shoot it yourself. Who cares? It doesn't need to be professionally shot. Shoot a bunch of stuff, because if you're going to be an editor, you're pretty much a writer at that point anyway, a director. Editor is just third director. The writer's a director, the director's a director, and the editor's a director. More specifically, a writer, but whatever. What you do to film the pieces that you need to edit with will inform how you edit and further edits, right? Having a bunch of professionally shot stuff sent to you to edit together is just going to teach you how to make cuts and place things. It doesn't teach you how to think like an editor. So yeah, those are my thoughts as I just had them. Yeah.